Good day. My name is Enzo Grant, and my partner, Michonne Roberts. She's having issues, so she's not here with me now. But I know we're going to have a wonderful time. Um, Let me share my screen. I'm gonna have a nice activity here for us. Today we are going to be learning about problem solving approach, and we're going to find some key things about this sort of approach. So let us get into it. First thing first, we have a starter activity. It's a very interesting one. Um, by looking at this, we see a sequence. See if you can find what will be the number where the question sign is. We're gonna have to look in sequence and see if you can find it. I know you can. If you have need for more time, you can pause the video and then you can play it back after you have completed. Let's move on. Now, the answer to your starter activities, um, here is a trend. You would notice that 3 equal 18, 4 equal 32, and you will notice that it's an addition of 14. From 18 to 32, it's addition of 14. From 40 from 4 equal 32 to 5 equal 50. This is an addition of 18. I'm sure you can pick up on a bit of sequence here. Now, every time the number on the left increases by 1, the addend increases by 4, starting with 14 plus 4, as we see previously, is now added to the it's now added to the previous sum, and that will give you the answer for the other. We can see here 6 equal 22 plus 50 equal 72. So at number 7, we are going to be adding 26 to 72, and that's how we end up with the 98, and that is where the question stops. But if you follow the trend from 3 coming up, you will be able to figure it out. At number 8, it will be 30. We will add in 4 to the 26, and we know we have 30, so we're going to add the 30 to the 98, which we get 128, and we can skip on down and go on to number 10, where now we are adding 38 to 162, and we find that at number 10, we will have 200. Wonderful. I'm sure many of you did very, very well. Congratulations. You did very well. Let's move on. Now, what is the problem solving approach? This method of teaching emphasizes that students should learn by working on problems. This allows students to learn by new knowledge and interacting with problems to be solved, which will develop their critical thinking skills. So by the students interacting, handling, by their thinking for themselves, the students' critical thinking, they will develop their skills in doing critical thinking. What is exactly is problem solving approach, by the way? Well, problem-based learning is a teaching method in which complex real-world problems are used as a driving force to encourage student learning of concept and principle instead of direct presentation of the information. So the student will actually be the one going out and researching. Of course, the teacher will be there, cannot leave the student alone. So the teacher will be there providing all the materials, all the resources that the student will need to go and research with the guidance. The problem solving approach tend to point students to listen, um, more like take take responsibility. Yes, that's a good choice of word. Take responsibility for your learning. Think, not just be spoon fed or to absorb things like sponge, but think for you on your own. If you are supposed to go wrong, the teacher will be there to guide you. Now let's look at the history of problem solving approach. Based learning originated in the mid 1960s at McMaster University Faculty Health Science, sorry, in Canada. It is developed over a period of time by different persons. It wasn't something that someone just had a bright idea and just come up with the idea at once. It is persons doing research over a period of time, and finally in the mid 1960s they brought them together to form this teaching and learning approach. Now John Dewey was its first source of influence. He established an experimental school, wow, in the University of Chicago on the basis that learning is more interesting when students are actively involved in their learning. So this idea by John Dewey was looked at and it was added to it as well. So we find that this was the first source. The second source is from the case study method that was done at Harvard University. The second source of influence toward this approach. And finally, Jerome Bruner, the third source of influence with the idea of discovery learning. Huh? Sure, we have learned about learning of discovery. The idea of learning from problem originated from this. So from his discover learning idea, persons come up with the idea, well, surely we can learn by persons given different problems and we learn on that basis by looking at problems and finding solution from them, and that will straighten our thinking. Let's move on. Now, the four components of problem-based learning. Now, follow me now. This is very interesting. Essential question. First thing first, the teacher will pose a question to the class. The question, there's no basic like you're gonna say yes sir, or you're gonna shout out an answer or so on. It's not something like that. It's an answer. It's a question that will trouble the mind. A question that will desire you to think. The question needs great depth of understanding about the topic in order to find the answer. For example, using a unit circle, explain why sine 30 and sine 90 degree is equal to a half. Now the student have to have some knowledge about the unit circle, have to find out, well, where does this half come from? As a matter of fact, the student have to know about the sine function as well. So the student know, after posing this question, the student will be like, wow, this is tough one, teacher. What will happen next? The students know will have to go and search because they have something that is in their mind bothering them, because what is this question all about? Why is this sine 30, which is a small number in comparison to sine to 390, why are they equal to a half? So now we get to move on to the second phase, which is self-directed. At this year, students are now responsible for finding a solution to the problem. They will use the necessary resources to find the answer. So the teacher is not going to and them and say, look into this and so on. They're gonna say, listen, you can go on the internet and so on. The teacher is gonna be there to guide them. So they will go and research first thing first, what is a unit circle if they don't know. If some know, they can help the others and they can come up with that. Next, cooperative groups. So they were placing groups. Students are placing groups to find a solution to the question that was given. Um, may not be this one question for the entire class, but you can put them in groups and give each group their own questions. So they will say, oh, and start thinking about that question and then go about finding the solution to that question. And finally, it's the culminating stage, the culminating project. Students will now present their findings to their class. So everyone comes together now and everyone is learning. So what you find here in your research, you come and share it. What I find, I come and share it. And together we all learn. Now, in this, the student may go off. I may go off course. Student may get something wrong or so on. So that's why the teacher is there to guide. The teacher is not going to be there to shout at them if they see they're doing something wrong. Ah, why are you doing? What are you doing? Foolish to doing. Teacher is going to probably say to them, they come and ask a question. Teacher say, you sure you want to do that? Do you want to think about it a bit more before you make a final conclusion on that? Or we'll do something to pull out the answer from the students, because from their research, they will have it. The teacher will know how to ask the right questions to pull the answer out of the students. Next, impact on teaching and learning and math. No problem solving is it's not original. I think it's started first to use in medical school, but it's something that it's a method that can be used to teach different areas. Problem solving approach helps to develop students' critical thinking. Critical thinking. It does encourage, it does develop student critical thinking. Next, it encourages teamwork among students. For used to, there was a time where we are seated in nice rows and the two teacher will be walking down, and if your eyes are not directly at the board or at the teacher will be shouting at you. Probably you maybe have been hit by a chalk or a duster in your earlier year of schooling. But with a problem solving approach, it's a student center approach. So teamwork is encouraged among the students. It helps to develop students' communication skills, because students have to research and then they have to come and present what they found out on that particular topic. They learn to apply things that they have learned to real world example, develop research and analysis skills. So they will go out and they will do their research to get information, and they will look at that information to see exactly what is it saying to them. Students find it very engaged. Students love to be around hands-on, as we will find that persons like John Dewey and Jerome Bruner encourage hands-on approach. The idea of constructivism, as we will learn from our peers. It can be used to teach different subjects. So problem solving is not alone, not narrowed down to teaching in math alone. It's used across many of the science subjects areas. It promotes more study time for students, because it's something that you have to read upon, and it's something that many of us persons don't do, especially in Jamaica. Many persons don't read. prefer see something on this television screen and would copy it off and say, yes, I watched it, instead of taking up a book and actually reading to get some information. But before you come to class, you know, you might read something in class, and by the time you go, you have questions. I read this, and it encourages you know to go and do further research, further study, because you when you do that in class, you have questions, and when you have questions, we need answers. So what happens now is that it encourages you to continue your study. It encourages the use of technology in the classroom. Um, the teacher is not the only source of information. The teacher is there of knowledge, yes, but there's a vast amount of knowledge out there in the world that needs to be explored. They need to be explored. So the World Wide Net provides us with an opportunity to go out and explore all that. Let me be a face and continue to my thinking. This is one of the greatest, well, maybe I should not say greatest, but it's a good help to the math area. It's Polia's problem solving process. It helps a lot in solving mathematical equations, especially worded equations. Let me go along. There are four steps to it, and it really helps when you are doing math because it helps you to focus on what is necessary in order to accomplish what you set out. First stage, you have to understand the problem. Don't just start to read the problem, look into it, and then put down your head and you start to write. And then when you get up, you don't understand one thing and you start to miss me, no understand. Why? Because you didn't read the question. You didn't understand the question. You were just in such a hurry because you maybe see a part of it, the first part of it that you are knowledgeable about, and you just start writing. So understand the question, understand what is necessary for me to find the solution and what isn't is important. And those things that are not important, you know, put it aside and use what is necessary, and then move on to step two. Step two, devise a plan. When you devise a plan, you think of easy ways to solve the problem. Set up an equation, draw a diagram, make a chart, all these things now to put things in perspective so you can go about working, moving on to step three. Now, after you have done that, carry out your plan. You have already set up everything, you already understand, you have already eliminated some unnecessary information that is not going to help you to solve the problem. You have already devised your plan, now carried out the plan. Now that you have carried out the plan, you have calculated, you have used up your calculator, your pen and pencil, you have solved some equations and so on. Now, step four, after you have finished, it's time to check. Don't just run go to the, I know first time we used to love to get ticky. Don't just finish and just run up. Miss, I'm finished. Sir, I'm finished. One ticky. But take some time to look at what you did. So you may be familiar with the expression, don't look back. In problem solving, it's good to look back and check and interpret. Basically, check to see if you use all the information to answer, all the information and that the answer makes sense. Check on your things before you move on. Look back, check, and start working from backward, right back down to the part where you started from. And if things add up, well, you know, most likely you're on the right track. The learning theorists, or one of the learning theorists who is really very supportive, is theories is very supportive of the problem solving approach, is this fellow here, nice little fellow, John Dewey. I'm very interested when this thought by him. I did look at the thought to the right of his picture. It says, if we teach today's student as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. That's very profound. Um, John, do we believe that students learn through hands-on approach? We believe that by guiding students, they will gain knowledge. The idea is that by involving students in the entire learning process, it will develop their critical thinking skills. Wonderful. So to wrap it up, student approach, the problem solving approach deals with giving students problems, giving them situation. It's like a real world situation and so on, so that students can go and they can research and they can look at things from their own way. They will construct their own knowledge, look and find answer to these things. That will help them to think properly, think correctly, and then their learning doesn't all just take place inside the classroom. But when they have left the classroom, when they're at home, they will remember something that they have learned in class. And they will say, boy, I need to get some more information, because they are very much intrigued with what they have learned in class. And it's a very, very interactive core thing to do. So that is my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. On behalf of my colleague, Michonne Roberts, I hope that you enjoyed it, and do take care and have a wonderful day.